you talk to a psychologist about our obsession with becoming interplanetary, that there really is ultimately this denial of death, and that this like resistance to our limits as being humans. And I think that that's a totally natural thing to struggle with. But no matter how far out you look, there are endings. Things end. And I think that that is ultimately what makes life meaningful and beautiful as human beings that have managed to live on this planet. And I think resisting against that fights back at our very nature of humanity and forces us to look elsewhere for distractions instead of thinking about what actually really matters here.
First of all, I would pretty strongly disagree that it's not in human nature to struggle against death. I mean, the whole idea of natural selection and evolution and the origin of species is the struggle for survival. That's pretty hardwired into all life on Earth, including human beings, and I think it explains some of our behaviors. But as the question you asked, John, about, should it be an ethical consideration that we should try to ensure the survival of the human species? I think that's what you were getting at. It is interesting if you look at surveys that are done about the things that NASA should be doing, right? Public surveys about what the space agency ought to be spending its money on. Very last on them is settling the moon or Mars, right? That is not a public priority, absolutely. But what is consistently one of two top priorities is, one is Earth science. People want to study the planet and understand it. The other is protect us from asteroids. And I think that is a proxy for making sure that, Earth is habitable and humans survive. And so I think in that sense that, if we're going to have a space program, part of its mission ought to be to ensure human survival.
I have to share, this is the thing. NASA calls Mars a punching bag for asteroids. There is one that lands on Mars roughly every single day that creates a crater of about 26 feet across in diameter. That's a large sailboat. There's no atmosphere to slow down meteorites or asteroids. It gets pummeled all the time. If you want to avoid getting hit by an asteroid, that is the worst place in the solar system. Worse than here.